Hello guys, welcome to ratio 3. So today we will discuss the final part of ratio. So we have already learned like the comparison, we have learned like how to use the basic properties of ratio, what is the application of it. So today we will start from there, we will discuss some few questions and we will conclude the chapter in this fashion. So let's start with, and we also learn like spatially variation as well as like proportion as well. So this is like the entire things which you are going to do today. So the first thing is like, let's say this kind of question, like this kind, it's an easy question. A is to B is given 4 is to 5 and you need to find the value of this 4A plus 3B upon 3A plus 2B. Now if you want to do like, you can just pause here and you can do that, solve the question also. Otherwise you can check how I'm solving this question exactly. Now in case of A is to B and it is 4 is to 5, the first thing you need to understand, we can take the value like A as 4 and B as 5. And now we can put the value there. So the answer has to be 4 into 4, that is the A's value is 4, plus 3 into 5 upon 3 into 4 plus 2 into 5. So what is 16 plus 15? That is 31. What is 12 plus 10? That is 22. So your answer is 31 upon 22. So in case of this question also, I can take the value of x as 3, I can take the value of y as 2. Now put the value here, that is 3 into, that is 3 squared plus 4 into 2 squared upon 2 into 3 plus 3 into 2. So the denominator is basically 6 plus 6 is 12 and the numerator is 3 into 3 squared is 27, 27 plus 4 squared is 16. So 27 plus 16 is nothing but 43. So your answer is 43 upon 12. So this is the way you can solve this type of questions. And this type of questions, remember, you just not to do anything. You just need to put the values exactly. So you can put the simplest value and put it there and you can answer your question straightforward. So that is the first thing we can do by using ratio. The next question, let's say, you have already understood this thing because we have already learned this. If this is this thing I have already taught you exactly, and this is, I have again taught you the same thing. If I have done any kind of same kind of like linear arrangement, we have done it in the previous session also. I just give you the brief recipient of that, because if I'm doing the same kind of things, like the same kind of linear arrangement, so that is PA plus QC plus RE, so it has also become equals to K only. And in this case of this is A to the power, this is C to the power N, this is E to the power N, this is D to the power N, this is F to the power N, this is to the power, not in the base, this is in to the power, so that is also same as K to the power N. So I also give you one example, very simple example. Let's say if I say A by B equal to C by D equals to E upon F equals to A plus C plus E upon B plus D plus F. I can write directly this. Also I can write, let's say 3A minus 2C plus 5E upon the same thing, 3B minus 2D plus 5F. So if I multiply A with 3, I have to multiply B with 3 also. If I multiply C with 2, I have to multiply D with 2 also. So the same kind of arrangement we have to do. And also we can say like A cube upon B cube equals to C cube upon D cube is equal to E cube upon F cube is equal to 5A cube plus let's say 2C cube minus 3E cube upon 5B cube plus 2D cube minus 3F cube. So this is also the same. So this means the same thing. So this is nothing else. So this is like I have already told you and I have already made you understand. So this is just the application of it. So the next thing, please see this type of question. The question is, in a bag there are a certain number of toys, blocks with the alphabets A, B, C and D written on them. The ratio of blocks A is to B is to C is to D is in the ratio 4 is to 7. Is to 3 is to 1. So if the number of A blocks is 50 more than, so it is given like A is 50 more than number of C blocks. So that is given. So first you need to find the ratio. The ratio of A, B, C, D is what? 4, 7, 5, 1. So if A is 4, B is 7, C is 5 and D is 1, what is the difference between C minus A? The difference between C minus A is 1. So when the difference between C minus A is 1, so listen to me carefully. So when the difference is C minus A is 1, what is B? B is 7. Now when the difference of C minus A is 50, then B has to be 50 into 7. So your answer is 350. This is the simplest way to solve this type of question. And what else you can solve this question? What is the other method you can solve this question? That is basically also simple. So what you need to do here, you can say like A is 4x, B is 7x, C is 5x, and D is let's say x. So what is it? That is C minus A is given 50. So I can say 5x minus 4x is 50. That means what is x? 50. And if x is 50, I need to find B. What is B? 7x. So 7x is 350. So you can solve this question like this way or this way. Both is fine. Anyway, you can solve this type of question and this both gives you the same answer. So let's go for the next one. So 10 years ago, the ratio of age of a mother and daughter was 7:3. Which of the following cannot be the ratio 10 years later? Now the question is cannot be the ratio. So 10 years ago, so let's say today is present. So present minus 10, what is the ratio? 7:3. And I need to find what about present plus 10, like after 10 years is like. So it is basically a transition of 20 years, right? Now think about it. If let's say, I just give you one example first. First, you need to understand by example. So let's say the mother's age is 70 and the daughter's age is 30. Now after 20 years, it will be 90 and 50 because it is increased by 20. This is also increased by 20. Now this is 7 by 3, this is 9 by 5. And 7 by 3 is basically more than 9 by 5. So that means the ratio will be decreased. The ratio will be decreased after 20 years, yes? So the ratio won't increase, the ratio will decrease. Now think about this thing. Now think about this options. The options are 2 upon 1. Now 2 upon 1 is basically less than 7 upon 3. So this is possible. Okay, so this cannot be your answer. This is possible. Next, check 3 upon 2. Now 3 upon 2 is also less than 7 upon 3. So this is also possible. Now check 5 upon 2 and 7 upon 3. Now 5 upon 2 and 7 upon 3, if you check, this is 15 and this is 14. So this is more than this. So 5 upon 2 is more than 7 upon 3. So this is the answer because the question is cannot be the ratio 10 years later. So what is your answer? 5:2. And this kind of question can be solved by the comparison also. If you remember, we have said if A by B is more than 1, like the improper fraction. So in that case, A plus X upon B plus X is less than A upon B. You remember this thing? I have already done it in the first ratio 1 class. So similarly, if A by B is more than 1, so this is 7 by 3. So after 20 years, so whatever it is, after 20 years, so this thing has to be less than 7 upon 3. So that's why your answer is 5:2 because 5:2 is not the possibility. The rest two are the possible things. So I hope you understood like how I use this particular concept in different questions. And remember one thing, like this concept is very important while you understand and solve all this type of questions. And let's go for the next now. So the ratio of income of A and B is 3:4. Each of them spends a part of his income and saves the rest. The ratio of the expenditure is 2:3. So the easiest way to solve this question, first to take some values. So let's say the income is in the ratio 3:4. And the expenses is in the ratio 2:3, right? So I can say it, I can give you like 3 possibilities. So let's say this is 3 possibilities. So this is A, this is income, A and B, this is expense, and this is savings, let's say, right? So I can say the first thing I can take, A is 300, B is, then B has to be 400, the expense I can say that is 200, and this is 300, and the saving is 100 and 100. Which is basically both are equal, right? This is the first case. Fair enough. Let's take the second case. A, B. So now I'm taking the second case also. In second case, I can take, this is let's say 300, fixed 400, and your expense is 200 and 300. So I can now take the expenses also. I want to take whatever I want to wish, that is 240, but it has to have in the ratio of 2:3. So if the expense is, let's say for A is 240, so B has to be 360 because 240 to 360 is 2:3. So in this case, what is the savings? The saving here is 60 and here is 40. So this is more than this. So I can say in case of savings, now A is more than B. Now third case I am considering, let's say again the same thing. So let's say this is A, this is B, and this is, let's say, income, saving, income, expense and saving. So this is 300, this is 400. And now let's say I give you another like values, which is, think about it, this is 100, this is 150. This is also in the ratio of 2:3. So what is the saving here? 200. What is the saving here? That is 250. Now think about it, that in this case B is more than A. So you can see like we have three possibilities, like they are equal, A is more than B and B is more than A. So what is your answer? The answer is cannot be determined. Now similarly, remember one thing, in both case, why the answer is cannot be determined? Like let's think it logically. If you put the logic here, like A's income is also less and A's expense is also less. So if income and expense is also less and B's income is more, B's expense is low, expense is also more. So in this case, we have always these three possibilities which we can border with. But similarly, if it is just the opposite, let's say A's income is less, but expense is more, and B's income is more, but expense is less, in that case, we can surely say B will save more. So if it is just the opposite thing, in that case, we can surely say that, but in this case, we cannot be sure about it. So you understand where we can say it surely. If A's income is less and expense is more, and B's income is more and expense is less, in that case, we can surely say B will save more. But in this case, we cannot say it for sure. So let's go for the next one. Now it is proportionality and main proportion, obviously. Now what do you mean by A, B, C, D are proportional? A, B, C, D are proportional. That means A is to B is same as C is to D. So I can write A upon B is nothing but C upon D. That is the meaning of A, B and C, D are proportional, right? And what do you mean by mean proportion? If let's say A is to B is equal to B is to C, then we call B as the mean proportion. So that means A upon B is equal to B upon C. And B squared equals to AC. Now, if B squared equal to AC, we can call B is the mean proportion. And this C portion is known as third proportion. So this is like the meaning of mean proportion and third proportion. Now, if A is to B and is to C is basically known as continued proportion. What do I mean? Continued proportion. This is continued proportion. And what does it mean? It means that A upon B is also equal to B upon C. That is the meaning of continued proportion also. So this is like the basic terminology in this kind of question. There's another thing also like we use in case of proportion. Let's say if I say I need to divide 100 rupees among three people. Among 100 rupees among three people, let's say A, B, C in the ratio 2:3:5. So the A's part should have been 100 into A's proportion. Now what is A's proportion? That is 2 upon 2 plus 3 plus 5. That is a total. So A's proportion is basically 20. Similarly, B's proportion is 100 into 3 upon total. 2 plus 3 plus 5, which is same giving you 30. Similarly, this one is 100 into 5 upon 2 plus 3 plus 5, which will give you directly 50. So this is like the proportion. This is how we can divide in ratio. Let's say 100 is basically being divided. So this is how we can divide it. So let's see for the next thing. Let's discuss some question based on proportion only. Now think about this question, like given that PQ are in the continued proportion, I have already told you what is continued proportion, and QRS are also in continued proportion. If Q is to R is 2:3, we need to find all the four numbers are positive integers. What is the minimum possible value of P plus S? So P plus S is given. So what is it given? That is given is P by Q is equal to Q by R. And QRS are also in continued fraction, that means equals to R upon S. So that is given. And this ratio is basically given 2 upon 3. And remember what we need to do, we need to make everything positive integer. So if Q is 2, P cannot be positive because P by Q, if I say P upon, let's say Q is 2. If I'm assuming Q is 2, that means P upon 2 is 2 upon 3. So in this case, P will be 4 upon 3, which is fraction, which is not possible. So in some cases, we need to check where it has to not, it cannot be fraction. So please remember this thing, it cannot be fraction. So the first thing we will do, like let's say to make it a not fraction, the first thing, the Q has some number, so P will be like 2:3 with that number. So the first thing, and it has to be a multiple of 3 also. The first thing we can think about it, so Q is let's say 6. So if Q is 6, because what is the LCM of 3 2, that is 6. So Q is 6, if Q is 6, then P is 4, then this is also 4 upon 6 equals to 6 upon 9. I can write this, right? So this is P, this is Q, this is Q, this is R. But the problem happens when I use this, because 9 upon, then it has to be 6 to 9, that is 13.5. And it is again a fraction. So it is not possible. So the next thing we can do, we can multiply everything by 2. So what we can do, we can just write this thing like 4 upon 6 equal to 6 upon 9. So if I do it double, so it is basically becoming 8 upon 12 is equal to 12 upon 18 is equal to 18 upon 27. Now you can see all of these things are in their basic form, and we have all of these things are also positive numbers. So what is this value of P and S? So this is basically P and this is basically S. So what is the minimum value of P plus S? That is 8 plus 27, which is 35. I hope I make you clear. So what is the minimum value of P plus S? That is 8 plus 27, that is 35. So do whatever you can need to do, and then you need to go on multiplying this just to make these things in a positive numbers. So this is how we can solve this type of question. I hope all of you have understood this. So the next we will discuss some question which is morely based on variation. So let's think about what is variation. So what is direct variation? Very important thing, direct and inverse variation. So direct variation is, I said, A directly varies with B. So A directly varies with B. That means if A increases, B will also increase. A inversely varies with B. That means if A increases, B will decrease. So that is inversely vary and that is directly vary, right? Now think about it also in a very easy example. Think about it, distance, speed and time. Now let's say if time is fixed, it's what is fixed? If time is fixed, the distance is directly proportional to speed, obviously. Let's say in 1 hour, an aeroplane can travel 500 kilometers. In 1 hour, a bus can travel around 150 kilometers, let's say. So if the speed is more, why the aeroplane can travel more? Why the flight can travel more? Why the Airbus can travel more? Because the speed of Airbus is more. So I can say if the speed is more, the distance traveled will be more if the time is fixed. So there, from this we can also write d1 by d2 is equal to s1 by s2. That is also the meaning of d is directly proportional to x. But think about now, the distance is fixed. Let's say I am going from Delhi to Bangalore. Okay, so the distance is fixed, going from Delhi to Bangalore. But if I go by flight, I'll take less time. If I go by train, I'll take more time. Why by flight I am taking less time? Because in flight the speed is more. So the speed is more, the time taken will be less. So I can say S is inversely proportional to T. That means if S is increasing, the T will decrease. So I can write also S1 upon S2 is same as T2 upon T1. So please understand, this is like the concept of this. So very, very important. Now think about something like this. If I say, let's say D is directly proportional to S and D is directly proportional to T. So from this thing, when let's say T fixed, when S fixed. So by these two things also I can write D is directly proportional to ST. This is called compound variation. This is called what? Compound variation. And similarly, let's say I can say, let's say A is directly proportional to root B and A is also directly proportional to 1 by C. When obviously C fixed and B fixed. So I can say A is directly proportional to root B upon C. And this is known as compound variation. Remember, this is always known as compound variation. Now, if A is proportional to B, I also can write A equals to KB. A equals to KB. If A is inversely proportional to B, I can write A is K upon B. And remember, what is this K? This K is basically called the variation constant. This is the constant, is K. Similarly, if this is like D proportional to ST, I can write D equals to KST. And what is the K? K is like the constant. In general, K is 1 here, but K is basically a constant. So this is the concept of variation, direct variation, indirect variation, and especially compounded variation, and how we can make it take a constant and make it equal also. So if it is varies directly, then I can multiply with a constant and I can make it equal. Remember, this is the very important thing. So I can also say what is K? K is basically B upon A. But in this case, what is K? In this case, K is AB. So in case of indirect variation, it is, or inverse variation, it is AB. And in case of direct variation, it is B upon A. So let's go for the next thing. So the next is x varies directly with the square of y. When y is 12, x is 452. Find x when y is 18. So इसके what is given? That given is x varies directly. So x is directly proportional to y square. So we can solve this question in too many ways. First, when y is 12, like means for 12 square, the value is 452, right? So for 1 square, it has to be 452 upon 12 square. I'm not using any constant. I'm just solving it by understanding the concept of variation. For 18 square, it has to be 452 upon 12 square into 18 square. Now, if you cancel it out, so this will become 2 square and this will become 3 square because 6 square will get cancelled out. So it is nothing but, so 4 and this is 113. So it is nothing but 113 into 9. So which is basically 1017, assuming my calculations are correct. So this is how you can solve this question very fast. But if you want to solve this question by general method, so I will do x equals to ky square. And from this first thing, from this first equation, I can find the value of k. So k is basically x upon y square. And what is x? X is 452 and y square is 12 square. Now you can use the value to find x also. In this case also I can find x is equal to ky square. Now for this case, what is the value of y? Is 18. So and what is the value of k? Is this. So I can write 452 upon 12 square into what is the value of y? 18. So this is 18 square and this will give you the same value. So in this case we have to write so many things. We have to write k, all of these things. I can decrease all of this my effort just by doing this unitary method and this will give you the same exact answer. So I hope you have understood how we can use the concept of variation to solve questions. So let's go for the next question, guys. The next question is, let's say a precious stone, let's say a diamond has fallen and broken into 2 pieces. Fine. And the weights are in the ratio of 2:3. Fine. The value of the stone is proportional to the square of the weights. Fine. So generally like square of the weight, and if the value of the stone before breaking is 25,000, find the loss percentage. So think about it, they have asked you the question in percentage. If they have asked me the question in percentage, one thing I can be very sure, I don't need to use this thing. Why? I'll show you now. Think about it like, let's say there are 2 parts, like 2 part and 3 part. If it is not broken, the total is 5 part, right? Total is 5 part. If it has been broken, it is one is 2 part, one is 3 part. Fine. And the total sum is 5 part. If the 5 part is total intact, the price would have been equivalent to 25. And for 2, the price is equivalent to 4. For 3, the price is equivalent to 9. So think about it. This is 25, this is 4, this is 9. So before broken, the price is 25. After broken, the price is 4 plus 9, which is 13. So what is the loss? So the loss is nothing but 25 minus 13, which is 12. That is loss. Right? So 12 losses out of how much? 12 loss in 25. So in 100, what is the loss? 48. So what is your answer? 48%. Am I clear? So think about it, like how easily I can solve this question without taking anything. So what I did, I'm explaining it again. I take it 5 is the total weight of the diamond or the precious stone. It has divided in the ratio 2:3. So 1 part is 2, 1 part is 3. And the value is proportional to the square of the weight. So what I did, square of the weights. So 5 square is 25, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9. So I can say like if 25 is the initial price, then after the breakage, the price has to be 4 plus 9, 13. So what is the loss? 12. 12 is out of how much? 25. So 12 is out of 25 is basically same as 48%. And think about it, it is as simple as that. We don't need to use anything and we can solve it in, let's say, 15 seconds just by using this technique. So next time, please use this technique. Do not use K, do not use constant. Just use your common sense to solve this type of questions. So let's go for the next one. The monthly tariff of DTH provider consists 2 parts, a fixed part for providing the service and a variable part which varies with the number of channels opted for it. That means like, let's say, obviously when you have seen, like whenever you have this kind of geofiber and all of these things, so there are 2 parts. One is the installation charge, next is the based on your tariff, right? So it is given like, it is like, let's say the A is like the fixed cost and B is like the variable cost, which varies with number of channels. So I can say A plus 30B, because A is the fixed cost and the price for the 30 channel is 30B, which is equal to 350. And A plus 50B is equal to 450, obviously, because when the number of channel is 30, the price is 350. When the number of channel is 50, the price is 450. Yes or no? That means for 20 more channels, I have to pay 100 rupees more. So I can write for 20 more channels, I have to pay 100 rupees more. Yes or no? Can I write this? For 20 more channels, I have to pay 100 rupees more. So for 10 more channels, I have to pay rupees 50 more. Yes or no? For 20 more channels, I have to pay kitna? 100 rupees more. Because what is the difference? 100. So for 20 more channels, I have to pay 100 more. For 10 more channels, I have to pay 50 more. So in case of A plus, so what I need to find? When I have to use 60 channels. So in this case, I need to pay how much more? Because now from 50B, I have added what? How many channels? 10 channels. So in this case, I need to add plus 50. So your answer is 500. As simple as that. You don't need to solve it by solving equations and all. Nothing you need to do. You just need to do this and you can solve your question directly. So you have understood how I solved it. So first I just make sure, like for 20 more channels, I need to pay 100 more. So for 10 more channels, I need to pay 50 more. So already whenever I'm having 50 channels, I have to pay him 450. So for 10 more channels, I have to pay him another 50 rupees. So 450 plus 50 total becomes 500. So this is basically what is happening. So I hope you understand and you love this kind of methods, whatever I'm trying to do. And these are all the shortcut methods, and please understand why we are solving, because this way you can solve it faster and it will take less time. Go for the next one. Last question of the ratio. 74,000 is distributed among this ratio 1 by 4, 1 by 5 and 1 by 6. Yes? Now in this case, you need to understand, whenever these things are in fraction, the first thing you need to do, you need to make it in a natural number. So in case of 1 by 4 is to 1 by 5 is to 1 by 6. So what you need to do, you need to multiply with the LCM of 4, 5, 6. And what is the LCM of 4, 5, 6? The LCM of 4, 5, 6 is nothing but 60. So multiply 60 with everything. That is 60 upon 4. That is 60 upon 5. That is 60 upon 6. So it is basically 15 is to 12 is to 10. This is my actual ratio. 15 is to 12 is to 10. And what I need to find? Share of y. What is y? This is the share of y. So share of y has to be 74,000 has to be divided between these three people, and the share of y is basically 12, and 12 out of what? Out of the total. So what is total? 15 plus 12 plus 10, and hence your answer is 24,000. Because this is 37, yeah, this is 2,000. So if you multiply this thing, you'll get your answer 24,000, and hence this is the answer. So that's how you can solve this question very fast. So this is like the concept of like the ratio and how we are dividing it. So this is more or less about ratio. We do not get direct question from ratio in general. So ratio is very important for the other topics also. That's why we started with ratio, and then we'll go with percentage and the other topics as well. But please remember, ratio is very, very crucial, and that's why ratio is basically a topic which is basically used to solve other topics. You understand? Ratio is used to solve percentage. Ratio is basically used to solve profit loss. Ratio is basically used to solve time speed distance. So ratio is basically a very important technique and tools which will help you to solve other chapters. So see you guys in our next sessions. So we have concluded ratio. In the next session, we might start with percentage. So see you guys, and please keep watching and please reacting, and I hope I'll see you more videos in like this.